Okay. Section 3.3, equation of a line. We use this a lot. This is an important section, but once you get used to it, it's actually an easy section. I want you to think that route. I don't want you to be fearful. I want you to think, oh, cool, equation of a line. That's easy. Equation of a line, we have seen this all along. They just waited to introduce it until 3.3. This is what we've been working toward. You've seen the equation of a line when we, in slope-intercept form, I mean. Slope-intercept form, you've seen every time we've had y equals something x plus something. So now, once you see that, start thinking in this route. Y is always y, x is always x. That's your ordered pair. Whatever your x and y value is, you can plug in there. M is always your slope. And then B, whatever ends up over here, is actually your y-intercept. So you know your y-intercept if you see something that looks like this, that just has a y and an x. You have a number here, you know it's your slope. A number here, you know it's the y-intercept. So they can give you y equals 2x plus 3. You can plot 0, 3 as your point and then use your slope and count up and over, up and over, up and over, and graph a line without doing any work if you want to. Okay, so again, I'm just going to show you my notes of how to go about this, and then I'll work out a couple examples. But example, or problems, I mean, from the problem set. Find the equation of a line with slope -4/3, y-intercept 5. You literally use y equals mx plus b all the time. Use it all the time and start plugging in. Your slope is -4/3, plug it in. Y-intercept is +5, plug it in. There is your equation of a line. Done. That's it. If they ask you for the equation of a line, you just put the pieces where they need to go, and you're done. Here, give the slope and y-intercept of this line. You just have to move things around. So my note, move terms to get slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. You need a positive y. I like to move to get the positive variable first. You can move your y over here and get a 3y equals, and then subtract your 5. And then you just divide by whatever's with your y to get a single y. Graph linear function, then point slope form shows us a new equation or a new formula. You really technically don't have to use that. The other route, if they give you the slope and 1 point, you can solve for b and you can write the equation that way if you don't like thinking of another formula to use. And I can talk about that later too, like maybe do it in an example. So standard form, we don't really worry about that too much. I used to make it an extra credit problem for in-class tests. You don't have to write it in standard form for me. The key that I want you to know is slope-intercept form. That's the biggie. If you know slope-intercept form, you are able to move everything around and find the pieces you need and graph lines. So slope-intercept form, very important. Know it. I'm going to work several from this section. I'm going to go ahead and I'll do number 8, section 3.3. Number 8 says find line parallel, and B, find the line perpendicular. I know it's sloppy, but I'm just writing it as a reminder. Y equals -4x plus 1. Okay, I don't have to do any work. They want, and that was it. Yeah, they just want the slope of a line that's parallel. Well, any line parallel to this has to have the same slope. Otherwise, it's not parallel. Then they say, oh, okay, oh, you're so smart. Now find perpendicular. Okay, well, perpendicular means we negate it and put it under 1. We have negative inverse. So instead of negative, it's positive. And my 4 is on the bottom, 1/4. Remember, if it's 2/3, then perpendicular is -3/2. You would just do the reciprocal. So my slope here is -4. I know it because of slope-intercept form. So -4, there's my slope. Any line parallel has to have the same slope. Any line perpendicular has to have negative inverse. Okay. Then let me do number 14. I'm doing a couple even ones, I decided, and I'll let you work the odds to see how they go. But at least this will give you a good idea. Give the slope and y-intercept for each of the following equations. Sketch the graph using the slope and y-intercept. Give the slope of any line perpendicular. I'm not going to graph it here. Hopefully graphing is the easy part for you right now. But I know that my slope is 2. They wanted the slope. And then they wanted the y-intercept. I know the y-intercept is 3, which means my point is 0, 3. Y-intercept, here it is. Y equals mx plus b. M is always the slope. B is always the y-intercept. When they say y-intercept, it means 0 and your y value. So whatever this is, that's your y value that goes with a 0x value. So done. Now they did say give the slope of any line perpendicular. Well, if my slope is 2, perpendicular is -1/2. Perpendicular, we negate it and put it over 1. So inverse, negative inverse. Slope is 2, parallel is 2, perpendicular, -1/2. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do an odd problem. Number 23, this is the one I'm going to tell, because the slope in one point. In each case, find the equation of that line. Write the equation for each line in slope-intercept form. Okay, they don't technically tell us we have to use point-slope form. They give us -2, -5. I'm going to show you how to eliminate the need for point-slope form. When we see that, we think point-slope form because we have a point and a slope. Well, then most of us would have to go back and double check and say, what is point-slope form? I can't remember that one. You don't have to. I'm going to write it out. When we know this front to back, y equals mx plus b, I can solve for b and then rewrite, and then it eliminates the need for another equation. You can go ahead and use our formula. You can use point-slope form if you want, but I'm not going to. I'm going to show you how this comes into play. So my y, I have a y. This is always an x, always a y. My y is -5. I just made y -5. My slope is 2, and my x is -2. I have one variable. I can solve for b, plug that number into the to this with my slope, and I'm done. I can find slope-intercept form without the need for point-slope. So always your x and y value, and this always pertains to the ordered pair with x and y. Always your x, always your y. So my x was -2. I put that in there. X is -2. My y is -5. I put that in for y. -5 for y. And then my slope was 2. So now I just have to solve for b. 2 times -2 is -4. I add 4. I find out that -1 equals b. Once I get -1 for b, now I take this piece here. I'm just conserving paper and moving things around a little bit. I have y equals mx plus b, but they gave me m. Said it was 2. To write in slope-intercept form, you always leave the y and leave the x. Y equals, they gave me slope 2x, and I found b -1. So there's my answer. Y equals 2x minus 1. Done. That was 23. I'm going to do one more and be done with section 3.3. Number 33, find the equation of the line that passes through each pair of points. They want you to write it in standard form. We can do that, but again, it's not going to play a role in, it will not play a role in the test, because I will not ask you to write in standard form in the test, because the important goal of chapter 3 is slope-intercept form. So I need to find my slope. And I'm going to do it differently this time. Well, no, I'll stick with the same. I was going to show you, it doesn't matter which points you make 1 and 2, but I should keep the rhythm going. So I have y2 minus y1. So y2 is 1, minus a negative 2 is plus 2. And then x2 is negative 1 minus x1. So I have 3 over negative 5. So I'll just write negative 3/5. So what I have now is I found my slope. I have my 2 points. So y equals negative 3/5 x plus b. They want you to do a lot of work here. So before I can write in standard form, I actually need to find my b. I don't want to leave it plus b. I actually need that. So I have to solve. So I need to plug in, we'll just take, well, negative 2 and 1. We'll take negative 2 and 1. So y is 1. Negative 3/5 times negative 2 times my x is negative 2 plus b. So when I do this, I have 1 equals 6/5 plus b. So I have to get rid of my 6/5 and move it over here. And when I do, this is a little goofy here, but I'm subtracting 6/5. 1, keep in mind 1 is whatever your denominator is. Oh crap, I ran out of room. 1 is whatever your denominator is. So the 1 becomes 5/5 minus 6/5 equals b. Well, when I do this, I get negative 1/5 equals b. So slope-intercept form, see why I like slope-intercept form, is negative 3/5 x minus 1/5. I would be done. I'm done with slope-intercept form. Anything on the test, you're done. Yeah, it looks goofy, lots of fractions, but that's all you have to do. Now, when they say standard form, they want x plus y equals something. 1x, 1y. Well, whole number x, whole number y. So first off, I'm going to change to get whole numbers. To get whole numbers, I take that whole thing and multiply by my least common denominator, which is 5. So I have 5y equals negative 3x minus 1. Now, I have to move my 3x. I'm going through this kind of quickly because I don't care about standard form. All right, so standard form says, that's pretty tough to see. I should turn that on before. Standard form says, hey, you got to get the x over here and the y and write them in order and just have whole numbers. So I did that. That's standard form. There's what they're looking for. 3x plus 5y equals negative 1, and I won't ask you for standard form on the test. I might give you just 2 points and say, hey, write the equation of the line. In that case, you still would have had to find b and solve for b, but once you did, here's your slope-intercept form. This is the most important, slope-intercept form. Standard form, they ask you to do a few. 33 through 38 say, hey, use standard form. There's no point in it because whenever they ask you to move things around, they're giving you standard form and they're asking you to solve to make it slope-intercept form. This was just a little extra practice. Okay, so that was section 3.3. So we're moving along nicely. Hoping you're having fun. I am doing this. So we'll see you for